Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Rocio from SAGNY for our monthly webinar. Thank you all so very much for attending, taking some time out of your day. And today's presenter is Adrian Miller. She's here to present 7 steps to become a sales superstar. Adrian Miller is a sales consultant and trainer, author, speaker, avid reader, world traveler, amateur photographer, a very involved mom, and a hockey fanatic. She brings energy, passion, and enthusiasm to her work and is well known for her hands-on approach. She consults with companies ranging from startups to Fortune 100 firms, helping them to open more doors and close more business effectively and cost efficiently too. Everyone, if you have any questions, we would love to address them towards the end of the presentation, but definitely write them down or type them out in the questions panel that we have here. Our webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. Adrian, thank you so much for being on this webinar for us and giving us these 7 steps to becoming a sales superstar.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody, wherever you are, sitting at your desk, in your office, or wherever, for joining us for this presentation. I have to confess to really enjoying public speaking and being a presenter, and really enjoying more being a public speaker and a presenter in a live forum, because it's so much better to see your facial expressions and your body language and all the things that I can imagine what's going through your mind just by seeing you. So I'm operating blind here, but that's still fine, because I'm 100% certain that I'm going to nail some topics that are going to be very, very, very relevant to you. Rocio, next slide, please. Sure. Rocio is controlling this presentation. You're going to note that many of the slides, quite frankly, are mostly visuals, okay? They're mental jogs for me, and hopefully you're not going to be so absorbed in reading a slide, but in fact are listening to me and thinking how this applies to you. Because at the end of the day, this program is for you. And so what's the goal here? The goal here is business growth, okay? How do you increase your sales revenues? We're really rolling right into 4th quarter. I know that's a very, very, very busy quarter for your industry. Even with that very busy quarter looming ahead, I've got to ask you, how are you going to wind up at the end of 2015? Will you, in fact, accomplish those sales goals that you made for yourself, probably in January? Hopefully you made them. And look back and think, what did you do to actually get yourself to the point where you're at now? But the goal here for this session is to give you some tips and tricks that you can use for the rest of the months that are looming ahead of us, and then, of course, take you into 2016 and all the years beyond, okay? Thank you. We'll see you next slide. What we're going to do for today is we're really going to talk about how you're going to do it, all right? This is nothing if not highly practical tips and techniques. We will go through each one very carefully, and in fact, if and when you have questions about that tip, write it down. We'll be able to address them at the end, and at the very end of this presentation, there is a slide that has my contact information, an email address, and a telephone number if you have questions you'd like to address offline, or if in fact you'd like to receive a copy of the presentation or a copy of my book, The Blatant Truth 50 Ways to Sales Success. I am absolutely happy to send to you. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to increase your business this year, remaining months of this year, and looking ahead to your sales and marketing for next year? So next slide. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, what makes you different? Now, all of you know you are in a very, very competitive business. There are many people who do what you do, and these other people are comprised of folks who are very honorable competitors. They do their business very well, okay? They're not fly-by-night. They are not companies that you don't believe have values or do what they do with any sense of good business practice. They are honorable competitors. And of course, in 2015, you not only have competitors right there in your market area, you not only have competitors nationwide, you have competitors worldwide, because you still have people who think that they can go online and they can do a Google search and wind up dealing with some organization offshore looking at tens of thousands of items and get everything they need done, and at the end of the day, that's their whole business interaction. So the first thing that you have to do is think about what makes you different. Now, I want you to focus in on one word there, different, not better. Okay, you notice I didn't write what makes you better. And that's unfortunately what people do when they sell. They talk a lot about, this is why I am better. They even use the word. And better is a very interesting word. For me, and I'm just like pretty much everyone else you're going to try to sell, okay, I could be your next prospect. For me, if you say, let me tell you what makes me better, I get a little defensive. I get defensive because I might have used your competitor last year. And in effect, you are telling me that I perhaps did not make a great decision about the business resource I decided to use, okay? Better makes me start to get defensive because who in the world is going to say you're not as good as, particularly in a selling situation? So what makes you different? You should be able to come up with 5 reasons really quickly and really easily. And after you do those first 5, I think you should come up with 5 more, because these are the kinds of things you are going to communicate in your various conversations, presentations, and emails that you send to prospective clients and you send to the people that you are going to want to do business with. They're also the things you're needing to discuss and review again and again with your existing clients, because your existing client today can be your competitor's prospect tomorrow. And if you're not continually wowing them and wooing them, you have a risk of somebody else winning them, okay? So especially, and I'm not talking about your top 5 or 10 clients that everybody stays incredibly close to. I'm talking about that middle rung, that maybe you're frankly more of an order taker than an order maker with those accounts. Okay, next slide, please. And when you're thinking about what makes you different, you need to think about if this difference equals an improvement. Because if, in fact, it does not equal an improvement, why the heck is somebody going to want to be interested in it? Because there's a cliche, and the cliche is, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't. And truth is, if you can point out to me why your point of difference equals an improvement in my current situation, there's no reason for me to make a switch, okay? I know there's a sales philosophy that keeps pressing pain points and that approach. And the truth is, if somebody is having a terribly difficult time with a business resource or supplier or vendor, and I try not to use those words, vendor and supplier, those are folks who are marginalized out of existence. You can replace a vendor. It's really hard to replace a business resource. So if you can't help someone to see, okay, that in fact this improvement is going to quantitatively make a difference, it's going to be very, very hard to get them to make a switch. So that's point number one, and you're going to see as I go through this, it's not like I think I put them in rank order of importance, because as a sales trainer, all of these are important. You can't shortcut one for the other. If you do, you will impact your bottom line. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to jump into the sales pool, I'm going to suggest that you review this PowerPoint and look at each one of these points and see how you can use them, leverage them, and work with them to grow your business. Okay, point number two, tip number two. This one I keep saying, okay, this one is the most important. Well, see on next slide, please. This is one that's directed specifically for those of you who do a lot of networking and a lot of business development and have a lot of referral sources in your database. You've got a lot of networking contacts in your database. You've got a lot of prospects in your database and maybe dormant accounts. And all of these folks are in your database, and there's hundreds, if not thousands of folks, okay, in your database. So next slide, please. This is called staying on the grid, and I call it also touch point management. You can frankly call it anything you want, but I'm going to tell you that if this is the approach you use, I'm touching base and I'm checking in, you are going to not get your biggest bang for your time and your dollar. Because if you're checking in and touching base with your referral sources, checking in and touching base with your contacts, and if you're doing that more than once or maybe twice, you are boring them, they see no value, and they're going to move on. They're not going to take your call. They're not even going to open your emails. So what I'm thinking and what I know is that you need to add value to the relationship, maybe even before there's a relationship. And you do it by using the 3 I's: introductions, invitations, and information. Next slide, please. So the first one is introductions. And how awesome is it if you were branded as a people connector? Okay, how awesome is it if as part of who you are, you proactively make introductions to various people in your database, perhaps to 2 networking resources that don't know each other but could have business synergies, perhaps to a business resource of yours, okay, an IT consultant, a coach, a sales trainer, whomever it may be, and you introduce them to somebody else who exists in your database. Prospect, client, dormant account, another networking resource, whatever it may be, whomever it may be. But they have business synergies, and they can potentially help each other. And in fact, if you introduce them proactively, you are going to get on the grid, get some mind share, without saying, hi, I'm just calling to check in, how are things? In fact, your touch point will have a value to them. Have this become part of your DNA, and quite frankly, have a quantitative goal. Do you want to do 5 introductions a day? Do you want to do 5 a week, 10 a week? You tell me. It's not so hard to do. You do cyber introductions. Joe meets Steve, Steve meets Joe. Here's why. No one's going to delete your emails when they think their next best introduction is going to come from you. You can do it on the phone as well, but cyber introductions are really awesome. LinkedIn, copy someone's LinkedIn profile, their link, and make introductions to people. You know, you can kind of give them the work to do to find out a little bit more about each other. But the key to this is use introductions as one of the ways to stay on the grid. Next slide, please. Second way to stay on the grid is invitations, and that happens to be just a banner from a holiday party that I ran a couple of years ago. Invitations are really interesting. So I'm going to assume, and this is a broad assumption here because I don't know who's on the call, and I'm not looking at you, and I'm not seeing that you're saying, well, that's not me, but I get lots of invitations each and every day to networking events, to cocktail parties, to associations, to charity things. In the summer it was golf outings. I don't know, 10, 15, 20 of those maybe a week, maybe more. And I used to just delete them because who has the time to go to all those things? Who has the money to go to all these things? Some of them are free, some are free, but really mostly who has the time. And then all of a sudden I realized, why am I deleting these? Why aren't I, instead of deleting, pressing forward and sending them to the people in my database that I want to touch? Now, obviously, this isn't for something that's a closed invitation, and it's going to only you. But most invitations are not. You know you're part of this very large universe of people being invited. So instead of deleting, you press forward, you send it to that networking resource you want to reconnect with, or that prospect you haven't spoken to in a while and are wondering, what the heck am I going to say to this person, etc. All of those scenarios you know about. And you send it, and you forward it, and you say, hi, Steve, I'm not able to attend this, but I wanted to make sure you knew about it. It's going to be a great event. Or I hear it's a great group, or whatever you want to say. If you're going to the event, it's even better. You can say, hi, I'm going to be at this event. I'd love to have send the invitation to you, and perhaps we can meet up there, meet before, meet after, whatever it may be. But you know, these invitations, the point is they're all coming to you. You don't have to create anything. Every day you're getting them in your email box. Before you hit delete, have this like mental stop and forward them, and get into the practice of doing that. You're going to find out people are going to reply to you, and they're actually going to say, thank you for sending me the invitation. I'm not able to go, but, I mean, you didn't even need that or want that, but it's just one way to stay on the grid. The next one, Rocio, next slide, is information. All right, we live in an information age. I get lots of emails. I get lots of newsletters, and they're really they're not very good. Okay, to be brutally honest, most of them are all about the company. They're like selling item documents, and they're either written to sell, or they're written for someone who is in the exact same space and would understand the jargon, and somebody outside of the industry really doesn't know what they're talking about. If you want to stay on the grid with people with information, send them things that are, again, going to add value, even though you're not doing business with them. So the best way to do that, we live in an information age. One technique is to put all your clients, put your networking resources, put anyone you're looking to stay on the grid with, and put them into Google Alerts, okay? Put their name in Google Alerts. And what that does for you is every day Google, thank goodness for Google, are going to send you an email, and it's going to have links to articles, notices, or anything else that appears online that has that particular company or keyword or industry noted in it, all right? So that's one way. It's very personal. I have my clients' industries in Google Alerts because I want to be able to send them an email and say, Bob, I just read an article in, name of publication, about and I give them 1 or 2 lines, was wondering what you thought about it, or I send them a link and I say, I know how busy you are. I don't know if you even saw this. Very helpful. Also, subscribe to TED. TED sends you a video, an email on Saturday morning. TED sends you an email on Saturday morning with links to 5 videos. The videos are fascinating by the most profound minds in the world on topics that are very, 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 very fascinating. There's almost always 1 or 2 of those videos that have something to do with something that relates to business. And I often will take the link to those videos and send it. TED gives you the facility to send it out right from their website, and I'll send it to 50 or 100 people with a little note that says, love this video, was thinking of you when I saw it. And that's always a wonderful way to position yourself as somebody who's very knowledgeable and is interested in lots of things, and is a way for you to provide and get some mind share of those resources and prospects and customers and everyone else that you need to stay on the grid with in a way that is not so self-serving and is constantly saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. Same thing holds true with newsletters. Same thing holds true with blogs. I copy and paste blog links from some of my business colleagues all the time. I'm always looking to help them by getting their name in front of other people. But quite frankly, on a very selfish basis, I'm very happy to do it because it also gets my name in front of the people that I want to stay visible and in front of. Okay, next point, next tip, number 3 is you are infinitely curious. Okay, next slide, because I want you to actually see these questions. I get sales calls all the time, okay? It blows me away when the person who is trying to sell me something does not ask me anything. They just have a pitch. They know what they want to say. They just don't know what they want to find out. And in my mind, if you ask the right questions, everyone is going to tell you what you need to know to sell them the right thing, okay? So you need to know what your prospects want and why they want it and when they want it and who they're selling it to and how they're using it and how are they going to make their decision and all these other questions and 5 or 10 or 15 more that you should have in your bag of sales tricks, so that when you are on the phone with a marketing director, an event planner, VP of trade shows, education manager, whomever it may be that might be interested in the promotional items and products and promotional programs that you are looking to present to them, if you ask the right questions, you're going to know what they're interested in. And the best way to sell is to find out what someone's interested in and then persuade them to why you're the person who can provide it. But if you don't know, that means you're going to have to address everything. And chances are they're not interested. And I'm not talking about product specific now. I'm talking about a much bigger and broader type of questioning, okay? I'm always interested in knowing who else in an organization is involved in making decisions. How are decisions made? Timeline, process, application, all of those things that the more you know, the more you're going to be able to address their needs and actually get them interested in who you are. And then you could actually talk much more about the specific product. Next slide. So no matter how great you are at selling, okay, I'm pretty good. I really am pretty good. But I still have people who give me obstacles, okay? Don't need it, don't want it, already did it, had a bad experience with it. I'm happy with what we're currently doing, have no money, have no budget. My cousin, brother, mother does the same thing you do, and I have to work with them. Not now, maybe later. I'll just look at your website. And all those other objections and obstacles you get, okay? There might be a few that I didn't mention. I probably nailed most of them. The worst one you can get is just no click, okay? But the ones I just said are all the things we all hear. It doesn't really matter your business at all. So, next slide. Here's an old-fashioned strategy that's been around even before I started to sell, and I've had my business for 28 years. It was 28 years in May, and I've probably been using this strategy since myself, and I train it since then, and probably will continue to train it because it works, okay? When you get an obstacle, you need to slow down the selling because you need to address this obstacle and you need to overcome it. It's on the phone, face-to-face, in an event, whatever it may be. This is a critical moment, a very important critical moment for you to carry this conversation forward. And if you don't carry it forward, it ends. So you say to them, I know exactly how you feel, or I understand what you're saying, or I hear ya. I mean, I'm not going to give you the exact words. Everybody on this call has their own personality, and some people might feel much more comfortable saying, hey, I hear ya, than I understand what you're saying. I don't really care because it's the strategy, and the first part of the strategy is making them feel like you are empathetic with what they're saying, okay? You get it, in other words. The next thing is, we have many customers that felt the same way. Or I've talked to a lot of people who said the same thing. Or, again, the words are less important than the strategy. And the strategy is making them feel like they're not the only person in the whole bloody world that ever had this feeling, had these words, had this experience, whatever, okay? We have customers and companies that they felt the same way when we started to talk to them or when we first met them, okay? Here's the most important part, obviously, of the strategy. What they found is, step number 3 is a resell, okay? So I can't give you the words because I'm not sure exactly what their obstacle was, but what they found is you've got to resell against the obstacle they raised. Now, I got to tell you, some objections are really valid. And you know what? At the end of the day, you don't have very much to say to them. Sometimes you have to say, hey, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. Okay? That's true. Sorry, we can't win them all. But the fact is, what they found is, and then you resell against the objection. You resell why they should be working with you and persuading them of your value. And then when you're done reselling, 30 seconds maybe, 20 seconds, you ask them a question. You control dialogue, by the way, with questions. That's how you control a conversation. If you're not asking a question and they're leading you by the nose through the conversation, you're out of control. And they're taking over, and they'll probably win also. Okay, so I know exactly how you feel. We have many customers that felt the same way. What they found is, and then you control it with a question. All right, very logical, very, very strategic, and honestly, this technique works, I can't say all the time, nothing works all the time, works a whole lot of the time, and it's been around, and it's probably in sales textbooks from a million years ago, and it's certainly in mine as well. Okay, next slide, please. I'm a big believer in networking. As I said, I've been in business for 28 years, and I have grown my business through networking. Primarily, I've done lots and lots and lots and lots of other things too, but networking has been fundamental to my staying in business through the recession, and even growing, okay? And I think I'm a good networker. I think a lot of people are good networkers, but I think more people are not, okay? I don't know why networking isn't a new thing, But I think that if you don't do things a certain way, you can network, but you probably are not a good networker, and you're probably not even getting the most you should get at a networking. So the first thing is being proactive. That means you make introductions and connections without being asked. Okay, I made an introduction this morning to a client of mine to a networking resource I know. Neither one of them asked me for the introduction, but I saw some possible, not short term, it's not going to happen this week, but I saw some really good seed planting synergies that I think should help them grow their business down the road. So I made a cyber intro. I do those cyber intros every day. I try to do 5 to 10 every day. But I don't care what the number is, but you can't wait for people to ask you for introductions. That doesn't happen all that much. So if you're not proactive, you're not really networking in the way that makes you a high impact and successful networker. That's the first thing. Second thing is circular, okay? Lots of people know how to tee people up. And what do I mean? Well, you introduce the carpet distributor, carpet company, to the electrician, to the real estate guy, to the painter. Like, that's the real estate silo, okay? You're kind of looking at people, to the mover, teeing people up because they're under the same category of business. And that's certainly very applicable and can be quite successful. I like to be introduced to good networkers, frankly. Good networkers can make it work no matter what. So here's one way to think about it. You know two people, and they work with like the same types of companies, okay? They both do different things. One is an IT consultant. The other is a marketing person. But they tend to work in companies that have 5 to 50 employees. Okay, that's their niche. They're industry agnostic. Wow, they should know each other. Why? Because if I work with a company that size, I could definitely introduce you to the president of that company because I have a good relationship with them, and I say, hey, Joe, you know, I know right now everything's coming along really well with your technology, but I'd love to introduce you to blah, blah, blah. He specializes in working with companies your size, and I think he's a great guy, and it's always good to have these resources kind of in your back pocket. I can make that happen every day, and it's circular, and it's proactive, okay? And so can everybody else if it just becomes part of their DNA. And the next thing is consistent, okay? Networking, just like business development, quite frankly, cannot be peaks and valleys. I know we're all busy. I'm a small business owner too. I have to juggle. I'm sitting in a client's office right now, taking a break from doing a full day of training here. My job requires me to do lots of consulting, lots of training, and so I'm in a client location, and so obviously I can't be networking. Well, there really are ways that you can minimize the peak and valley effect of business development and networking. You have to always be planting seeds. You have to always be involved in business development, and I think you have to always maintain your sales funnel. The day you stop doing that, the weeks you stop doing that, I can tell you that you look out into the future, and 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I don't know when the month will be, you will have a dip in sales. You'll have a dip in sales, and that's not the way you can really run your business successfully. Next slide. The point number 6 is know where you stand. Some people are intrinsically numbers people. I'm not one of them, but I'm going to tell you, I always know where I stand. You need to know who are your prospects in your sales funnel, what percentage likelihood they will close as new business, and within what time frame. Don't you need to know that? Because what if you look and assess those numbers and you see that nothing's going to close for the next 6 months? You either have to do a very, very quick business development program. You have to go back to your existing clients your mid-market or your dormant accounts, and you've got to see what you can cross-sell, upsell, and generate really fast, because you have this big dip in sales revenue coming up. Okay, so you have to know where you stand. You have to know who's in there. You need to know potentially the size of that account, okay? You need to know what's the likelihood of them closing and the time frame. And at the very beginning, when you start to keep these kinds of numbers, it's going to be hard, and they're going to be very soft. The more you keep them and the more statistical you are, the more you quantify what it is you're doing and what's in your sales bucket, the better you're going to be able to project out your sales revenues and what's going to come in. Okay, last slide, point number 7. Okay, 7. Remember, it was 7 steps to be a sales superstar. So I'm going to say the first thing is really start now. I mean, when we hang up, can you think about one of these things you can do, 2 of these things you can do? The further away you get from this presentation, the less likely you are to actually do anything. So the first thing is figure out how you can do 10 to 20 outreach attempts to prospects and dormant accounts per week. I think phone, but I think as those value-added touch points would be really awesome. And keep track of that. Do time blocks, if you will. Don't try to fit it in like in between everything else, but maybe a time block for your outreach would be a very intelligent way to go about doing that. Networking events, 2 to 4 a month is a pretty mellow number for most people because there's things going on morning, noon, and night. And many of them have no cost, and many of them can be done at day parts that you're able to accommodate. So, but the thing is to make a plan, not just wait all of a sudden like, oh, I think I'll go to something tonight, but actually have a plan on your calendar and have a goal for what you want to accomplish at that event. I'm going to say, why don't you set up a couple of 6 in the suburbs, 6 in the city, get-togethers per month. And what I mean by that is networking meetings and everything are great, but sometimes the most happens at much more intimate events. So pick a buddy, pick a networking buddy, and say, hey, why don't you bring 2 people? I'll bring 2 people, and why don't we have breakfast? Why don't we have lunch? Why don't we have dinner? Okay, 6 people sitting around a table, each having a couple of minutes to tell the other people at the table about what they do and how they could help each other. 6 people are a perfect number to talk about other things besides just work, and to get a real, much more in-depth idea about who this person is. It's one of the reasons my bio has a lot of other things about me, because I'm so much more than my sales training consulting business. I'm much more than my networking. I'm a much more robust person. We all are. I think it adds texture. It resonates to you. So put together a couple of those a month. I'm helping one of my clients now put together a breakfast, and he's going to pick the 5 other people, and we're very carefully going through the list now. And it's fun. He's going to find it very valuable. More strategic activity on social media. Social media is nothing new and exciting now. It's here to stay. Be strategic, be visible, use it intelligently. You will find the visibility, it may not land you a client, but it's going to make it easier as you start to be more proactive in outreach. For me, it has landed clients. The posts you decide to put up on social media, the links you have to your white papers, the links you have to your newsletter and blogs are all very relevant ways to position you as a subject matter expert and as a thought leader. PR and trade show involvement. Well, heck, you guys know more about trade shows than I do, so I'm not even going to go there, but well, maybe I am. What trade shows do you attend? Do you walk the shows? Do you gather cards? how active are you at using trade show as a way to build your own database of prospects? PR as well. Many people know Harrow, Help a Reporter Out, which is a free site, and I just encourage you to explore it. But getting some good PR, being quoted in articles, being visible in business publications, all can help you with visibility and credibility. And you can explore it for little or no cost. PR agencies are usually much more costly, but you can do it in a cost-effective manner as well. And I'd start to explore that if you never have, okay? There's lots of ways to do that. There's free press releases and all sorts of ways where you can start to be visible. And last, again, it's all about visible. Newsletters. I'm going to say if you're sending a newsletter, don't send a canned newsletter. If your content looks like everybody else's that's coming into that same prospect every month, then they're going to just kind of delete it and maybe decide that they don't want to work with you. You're in a creative field. Have a wonderful newsletter. Have it look great. Don't have it be product-driven. Pictures of pens with cushiony balls on the end so you can use it as a stylus. 4 cell phone holders, and 3 flash drives. Really, I think you can do better than that and have your newsletter be something that people actually enjoy reading and perhaps open and even forward to other people. I'm going to add something in here now. Video rocks. Video is an incredible tool to make your website rise in the search engines, to position you as a thought leader. Video yourself, okay? Have somebody hold the phone, use a tripod, whatever it may be. You don't have to go to a studio. If there's somebody on the phone who makes videos, I apologize in advance. But and you do need to be in the studio if, in fact, you're selling yourself as a video producer. But if you're not, set up a YouTube channel. Do 10 videos. The subject or title of video is what promotional products are most popular now? How can I, the kinds of questions you get asked by your prospects and customers, that's the subject line of the video. And you can come up with 10 of them because you get more than questions in that. And you can come up with 1 minute to say about them. At the end of the video, you say, for more information, feel free to reach me at, and you start the video by saying, one of the questions I get all the time by my clients is, and then you have the question, you have your answer, and it's all done. 1 minute, okay? Very, very, very cool things to do. Doesn't cost money. I'm trying to give you action steps that you can use to become that sales superstar that gets you business, gets you visibility, and does not, in fact, break the bank. Next slide, just so you can see me. Okay, and now that you saw me, the next slide. There's my contact information. I don't really want you to see me that much. My hair's much shorter now anyway. Here's a scoop. There's my contact information. More importantly, if, in fact, you have some questions that you'd like to address right now in the few minutes we have remaining, I am happy to do so. We have a couple of minutes. If you don't want to address them on the call and you want to call me, let me tell you my cell phone is really the best number. You want to email me that somebody you heard a ping, someone just texted me. If you want to email me, that's cool too. Those are my 2 websites, and welcome you to check them out. And I run a networking community that might be something you want to look at and explore for yourself. But that's all me. But is there anyone now? I don't know. Rocio, are the lines open? Do people type in the question? How does that work?
Sure. Attendees, please feel free to type in your questions in the questions panel that you have on your desktop. I will go ahead and forward it or relay it back to Adrian. So any questions out there, please feel free to type them out. Another point I'd like to touch on right now is this session has been recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel right along with our other webinars. We also have the presentation that Adrian did for us live in Long Island at the Milleridge back in the springtime. So if you want to see her in action, that would be a perfect place for you guys to also look at, you know, how great she is up front. October 8th, everyone, if you haven't noticed, our fall showcase is coming up. So please make note, register in advance. We will see you there. It's at the Robert Treat Hotel in Newark, New Jersey. Adrian, we have a question from Michael Higgins. Is it okay to cold call someone with a message on LinkedIn or through an email in which you introduce yourself and your company?
So cold calling is not dead. It is difficult. It is difficult. So if you have if you met on LinkedIn, if you've communicated back and forth on LinkedIn, it's not quite really a cold call, right? Or if you're going to use a contact that you see, let's say you looked at my LinkedIn and you see somebody and you decide you want to call them, well, that's one way to go about it. Another way might be to email me and ask me if I could make an introduction. What I'm trying to say is the warmer you can make your cold calls, the better it is. And LinkedIn does provide you with a lot of ability to see where there may be some link between you and this person you're cold calling. But cold calling still goes on. People still buy lists of companies. They still compile lists of companies, and they sit down and they bang away at the phone. And if, in fact, you are good at it, if you've got your spiel, your pitch down really well, and if you use a solution selling approach, okay, and if your call doesn't start off in a hard sell approach, which people are just backing away from like crazy now, yeah, you can have some success at it. But it's a numbers game. Lots of people don't answer their phones these days, and it's hard to break through. So I always look to warm up cold calls.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adrian. Michael, I hope that helped answer your question. Anyone else with any further questions?
And Michael, if you want to, by the way, if you want to email me or call me, I can give you some more details on that, because I know I threw out a solution selling kind of approach, and I write some scripts for clients, and I use a very, very singular approach on how they can get through, so I'm happy to share that. Anybody else?
I don't see anyone else coming through right now. Michael says, thank you very much, Adrian.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for that information. Anyone, please take note of Adrian's contact information here, her email address, her phone numbers. If you have any further questions that might pop up towards the end of the day or tomorrow, feel free to contact her. Feel free to contact me. My email address is rocio, R-O-C-I-O, @sagni.org for any further information. Michael Higgins, you're funny. He goes, will the Patriots win tonight? Ha ha.
No.
I don't follow. No? So there you go, Michael. Adrian has spoken. Thank you. I don't follow football, so I wouldn't know what to answer on that one either. Anyone else? Again, thank you all so very much for attending today's webinar. Adrian, thank you so much for providing all this wonderful information on becoming a sales superstar. We all need a few of those tips, or a lot. I know I could practice on them too. Again, our contact information is in here, and if no further questions are coming through, we wish everyone a very happy afternoon, a very safe afternoon, and here's to good selling. Adrian, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Goodbye. Good afternoon. Bye.